Hello everyone. So today let's study about the law of independent assortment. Actually, in the earlier classes we have discussed about law of dominance, law of segregation, isn't it? The dihybrid cross. So after studying the dihybrid cross, actually now it becomes easier for us to understand the independent assortment law. Now according to this law, actually it is stated that the two particular genes we are taking in a dihybrid cross, they both act independently. Okay, they are not dependent on one another, and during gamete formation actually what happens, they segregate and they will separate and behave independently. Now for example, in simple terms, if we want to understand this law, then what happens actually, when we are doing a cross between capital Y, that means capital Y is representing the color of the seed, R is representing the shape of the seed, okay, round, this is yellow. Now for Y, the contrasting one is small y green, for this one small r wrinkle. Now see whether capital R is present or not, but capital Y will have its influence, okay. The particular seed will be yellow if Y is present, but whether this is present or absent, it doesn't matter. Simultaneously, whether Y is present or not, but R will express itself. If capital R is present, it will definitely express its phenotype. Okay, that means both the genes are independent of one another for their expression. So that is the main thing of the law of independent assortment. The statement is given to you, but basic concept of this statement is this, that both the genes of that representing the two different characters of a particular organism will behave independently of one another. Okay, that is the law of independent assortment. Now when you are asked to describe the law of independent assortment, you have to put the statement first, and then you have to show the dihybrid cross, and then you have to mention that Y is not at all dependent on R for its expression, and vice versa, the R is not dependent on Y for its expression. Okay, so that independent character behavior leads to the law of independent assortment. Okay, next we will discuss about the gene interaction. Now see, gene interaction means the influence of one gene or allele over the other. Okay, now if suppose this is a pair of homologous chromosome, here two genes are there. Okay, this is suppose capital T, this is small t, it's allele. Now when these two will interact, that particular interaction is known as interallelic, that is influence of one allele over the other allele of the same gene. Got it? But some, for example, incomplete dominance, codominance, lethal factors, we have already discussed about that. Then sometimes what happen again, suppose this is a pair of homologous chromosome, okay, this is another pair. So when the interaction take place between the genes of two different parts, okay, that means allele of one gene will influence the expression of other gene. So this gene will influence expression of this particular gene. So that is known as non-allelic interaction. This is allelic interaction, this is non-allelic interaction. Got it? So this is the basic simple concept of gene interaction. Now incomplete dominance, codominance, we have already discussed about it. Now let's study what is the non-allelic interaction. So first of all, we will study about epistasis. Okay, epistasis means this is a phenomenon in which one gene masks the effect of other gene. Okay, so the particular gene which will have its influence, or in simple words we can say the dominant gene, then we call it as epistatic gene. That means this will mask the effect of the other gene. It will not allow the other gene to express itself. And that particular one which is being masked, that is known as the hypostatic gene. Got it? Epistatic gene and hypostatic gene. Here in epistasis, the ratio is normally 12:3:1, okay, and it is observed in case of cucurbita pepo, that is squash. Squash you all have know, isn't it, the vegetable? So here when we cross two flowers, plant of two different flowers, white and green, then what happened? We obtain white flowers here, that means capital W represents white color, capital Y represents yellow color, and small y represents green color. So that means the recessive genes are not at all influensive, but capital W is so much influensive that if W is present, all will be white. So when we do a cross in the checkerboard, we find 12 white plants, 3 yellow plants, and 1 plant with green colored flower. Okay, so that particular thing, that means W gene is masking the effect of Y. So this is the epistatic gene and Y is the hypostatic gene. Okay. Next we come to the complementary factor. Complementary factor means what happened here, two pairs of characters are there, but here actually what happened, when two pairs of factors affect the same character with the individuals having same visible effect and their interaction produces different thing. That means in sweet pea, these two are the flowers. One is white flower with capital C, small p gene, small p, capital P gene. That means these two dominant characters, genes, individually they produce white color, but when they combine together they produce a different type of phenotype. Okay, so from that we get a ratio of 9:7. So basically actually for these things we have to remember the ratios. Okay, for epistasis, this is also known as the dominant epistasis, ratio is 12:3:1. Complementary factor, the ratio is 9:7. Then we come to supplementary factor, which is also known as the recessive epistasis. Here the ratio is 9:3:4. Okay, and here the interaction in which the two independent pairs, one is dominant, produces its effect whether the other is present or not, but the second one will produce its effect only when the first one is present. Okay, so that particular phenomenon is known as supplementary factor. Then inhibitory factors are there. Inhibitory factors means one gene will completely inhibit the other from its expression. We will get a ratio 13:3. Duplicate factor, that means when two pairs are situated in different chromosomes, they are affected the same character and the individuals effect being the same, the interactions will produce all same type of things. Okay, so here we will get a ratio of 15:1. So the main thing to remember is you have to remember that these are all non-allelic interactions. Epistasis ratio 12:3:1, complementary 9:7, supplementary or recessive epistasis 9:3:4, inhibitory factor 13:3, and duplicating factor 15:1. Okay, the ratios are very much important, and for law of independent assortment, if it is asked to explain, then you have to definitely mention the dihybrid cross. Okay, capital Y, capital R, you mentioned it. Do the checkerboard, Punnett square, give out the ratio, and then there will be the answer will be complete. Okay, so go through these things, these are important, and if you have any problem then please let me know.